Hi there. I'm Cary Ellis, author of 21st Century Superhuman. This is our 21st Century Superhuman show, and I'm so happy to be here today with Charmian Redwood, like the tree. Charmian, hi, how are you today?
Hi, I'm doing great, thank you.
And is that a British accent? You're British.
It is indeed.
I love it. Yes. And Cecily Rossi. Hi, Cess.
Good morning. Hi, everyone.
And so you and I have been friends and comrades on the path for many years. And these days you are doing QHHT and some other hypnosis type of programs to help people access deeper levels of themselves, right?
Well, actually, I learned from Charmian another technique, and we just finished. It's profound. It's amazing, and I'm getting to practice with the other students in the class, and I'm having a lot of sessions. You can't even. I'm blown away at the things that are shifting for me right now. Great. Yeah.
How exciting! Amazing. And Charmian, I just can't wait to have this conversation with you. I mean, we've been waiting a few weeks, and Cecily is the one who set it up. And Charmian, were you friends with Cecily's mom? Is that true originally? No, that was somebody else.
Mother-in-law. Her
mother-in-law.
Mother.
Okay.
With my friend from when I first came to America in 1995.
Wow.
She was one of the first people I met.
And if you can speak up just a little bit, that would be really good. So I understand that many years ago, what started you on this path, Charmian, is you having a near-death experience, or we call them NDEs, which means you literally went to the other side and came back. And wow, and you have a story to tell about that. So we would love to hear your story.
Yes, it changed my life completely. I was 29. I was a school teacher, really normal person, nothing spiritual, didn't meditate, didn't have any religious beliefs, anything like that. And I gave birth to twins. I had 2 little babies.
Wow.
And during the birth, this was on my Saturn return when I was 29, during the birth, everything that could go wrong did go wrong. And I'd gone into the birth really positive. I invited these babies. I really wanted them. I thought everything's just going to be so easy. Well, it wasn't. It was a nightmare.
Wow.
So I ended up with blood poisoning, which I'd had this internal bleeding that they didn't see because I had an intern assisting at the births who should not have been doing a twin birth, but it was a Sunday. All the real doctors were at home.
And of course, there was a divine hand in all this, right?
Well, this is what I understand now. I mean, even very soon afterwards, people said, oh, you should sue the hospital. And I said, no, this is the blessing that set me on the course.
Yes.
And I was turned 70 2 weeks ago. So I've had all that time from 29 to 70 to be living a completely different life. So let me tell you about the experience, because I do like to share this with people.
Please.
Because as a culture, as a society, we're so afraid of death. We think it's the end. Or if you've had a religious upbringing that has put fear into you, it makes it even harder. So I really love to tell people that it's nothing like that. I just had the sensation of floating up out of my body. There was no fear at all, even though at the time I had no concept of an afterlife or another side or heaven or anything. I was floating away, up and up and up, and I just knew it was into light and there were going to be angels there. That's all I knew.
And you knew that. You had this inner knowing. Beautiful.
Yeah. I just knew, I just felt it. I just floated, let go, just let go. And then I floated into this ocean of golden light. And when I got there, wow, everything you could ever want, ever need, all the love that you could imagine, you were just enfolded in it. So while I'm floating in this golden light, I knew this is home, this is who I am, this is where I came from, this is where I want to be. And down there, the busyness that we do down here is just a story. It's not real. I'm making it up as I go along, and I can change it if I want to.
Beautiful.
I'm floating so happily in this golden light.
Yes.
And then this being appeared in front of me, and I just knew it was Jesus. And I was not prepared for that at all. He was in this body of white light, and his heart was a blazing blue star. But his eyes, he just looked at me. I was the one that was, first I thought, oh, I'm not one of yours, so are you sure you come to talk to me? I was looking over my shoulder like, isn't it's you me? You come to talk to me? I felt so humbled, because his energy was just love and forgiveness. There was no judgment. I was the one that was looking back at my life thinking, I wish I hadn't said that, I should have done that.
Wow.
He was like, what's your problem? It was so beautiful. So we had this telepathic conversation, and he said to me, if you want to, you can stay here with us in the golden light.
Wow. I'm just getting chills as you say that.
There's always a but, isn't there? But we're asking you, not telling me I had to come back, but asking me if I would come back. Because the world needs your love, your wisdom, and your... Well, at the time, I didn't know any of that.
Right.
Didn't know what it was. So I said to him, how can I go back down there knowing that this is where I belong with you? So what he did, he reached into his heart and he broke off a piece of his star. And he put it in my heart. He said, now you will know that I am always with you.
Wow.
So the next minute, I don't remember how I got down. Just the next minute, I'm floating over that body in the hospital bed. That is, now I'm very clear that is not who I am.
Right.
That is just the house that I am living in. Because when I left the body, all of my consciousness was not in the body. It was in the being that was looking down at the body.
Beautiful.
So I knew that if I got back into that body, which is not who I am, I would take on suffering. If I stayed out with them in the light, there is no suffering. It's just constant love and joy. But I'd just given birth to babies. They were 10 days old. I had 2. Their father was not that keen on babies. It was my idea. And then we had 2.
Right.
And there was no way I was going to leave motherless children, because I love children.
So this happened after, did your NDE happen after the birth or during?
10 days.
10 days after.
I was rushed back to the hospital with this blood poisoning.
Okay.
And at that time, I didn't care whether I lived or died. I was so sick.
Wow.
I just didn't care. Just leave me alone. Don't ask me daft questions about how I want to be buried and what religion I am. You know, you go into hospital and you have to, and I was just like, leave me alone. Just leave me to die. Anyway, when I came back, everything that my life had been about, I had a career as a school teacher, I was buying a house, none of that was relevant at all. I just knew there is a plan for this planet, for this earth, that is lifting it up out of darkness into light. And I just said, wherever you need me to be, let me know and I will go. And whatever you need me to do, I will do.
Beautiful.
So, since that time, which was in 1980, I remember because that's when my babies were born.
Right.
1980, I've been traveling. I think I've lived in 100 places since.
Wow.
And the other thing was, I said, I want a way for people to experience this without having to go through all the drama, because I tell you, it was pretty dramatic. And so I just gradually created, and this is what Cecily has just finished taking the class, I created authentic self-hypnosis, where I take people into that golden light to experience their divine essence and ask it, who am I? What's my purpose here? What's in the way? What's blocking me? Any issues in the life? We can ask the soul, your own soul. So it's not going to get information from outside, it's getting your own information. So I've been doing that for 30 years. And then last year I was told I needed to start teaching it. So I've just started teaching. It's called Authentic Self-Hypnosis. And so that's pretty much what I do now.
Beautiful. Oh, beautiful. And so it's been 40 years since you had the NDE. And what was the first step that you made in integrating that experience into your daily life?
Well, I left my husband.
Wow.
Step number one. Mm-hmm. And then I found that I could do laying on hands. He was actually sick. My husband was sick. Mm-hmm. And I knew that if I put my hands on him, I would take the pain away. I didn't know how. I just knew I could. And so I did, and that went away. And then I found that I was receiving meditations, pictures, images. So that's pretty much what I do now. I just receive both meditations and channeled messages from the ascended masters, the angels, the star people. Just, it seemed to open me up to channeling everybody.
Beautiful.
I just see myself, and this is what I teach my students, to become an empty vessel. There's when I came back, there was no I. There was no ego. That was all gone. That gets blown away when you experience oneness.
Right.
Then there's no reason for an I. It's just, how can I serve? How can I help?
Beautiful.
So one thing I've been doing for the last 20 years is doing hospice work, where I sit with people who are making that transition, and I tell them, I've been there, don't be worried, don't have fear, it's very gentle, it's very peaceful, and there's no judgment, and there is no hell. And I'd like to tell you this one little story. I was in Cincinnati working for hospice, and I went to visit this old man, and he only had 2 weeks to live. There was no way he was not going to pass in 2 weeks. And I held his hand, and I started talking to him about the afterlife and about God. And he said, oh, me and God aren't very good friends. And I said, oh, that's a shame. Why is that? And he said, because he'd been raised Catholic. He was convinced he was going to hell.
Right.
His daughter told me that he was having visions of this black being with red eyes. And he thought it was Satan that was waiting for him. Now, that does upset me, when people use the words of the beloved Jesus, who I experienced as pure love. There's no way he would put people in fear of death. So I took hold of his hand, and I just emptied myself, and this voice came through me, and it was God. It just felt like God. That he said that, I'm so sorry you were told that. Aww. It's not true. I'm here to tell you it's not true.
Wow.
And when you choose to leave, when you choose, I will hold you in my hands, and I will bring you home.
Aww.
So after that day, and I happened to be his CNA that day, you know, it could have been somebody else, he went into peace. And then his daughter told me that he said, the next week, I'll be here another 4 days, and then I'm going home.
Wow.
And so that's why I like to share this story, because there's so much of the negative.
Yes.
You know, unless you're born again, unless you follow this church or that church, you're going to hell.
Right.
Jesus never said that. That's why, and that's why I actually wrote a book on past life regression from my sessions, all about Mother Mary and Master Jesus. And they asked me to write that book because of what is being done in their name.
Beautiful.
That is putting fear into people.
Right.
And they're all about love, forgiveness, tolerance. Doesn't matter what you do, you just say sorry, you don't do it again, and you try to put it right.
Yes. And as you said, when you were there, it wasn't anybody else who had judgment. You were the one reviewing, and it's right. About entering into love and not fear. Mm-hmm. What a beautiful story. And so, Cecily, how have you experienced your journey of knowing Charmian? How has that contributed to your path and what you're doing right now?
So profoundly, actually. So when I first met her, I immediately got 2 sessions, like back to back, I think. And she was here. She was up in Nevada City where she used to live. And then I just started doing things with her. And then she does these really beautiful classes. And she also does special activations and channelings. And I just started doing everything. And I don't miss them because it just keeps me at such an elevated state. It keeps my vibe much higher. And there was a period where she had COVID over the summer and she didn't have any classes. And I was like slowly coming back down. And I was like, God, I can't wait till she starts the classes again. And yes, like soon again, I'm back up there and I feel great and just have more of a bird's eye view of what's going on instead of being torn into so much of the polarities that are happening right now, so it's been a huge blessing to me. It's so many other things I could go into. And then I took her course and I was begging her to teach it. I'm so glad she did it. And it's so amazing. And and actually after this, I have a session with one of the students that I'm giving her a session. And it's been a game changer for me.
Nice. So, Charmian, people can do sessions with you. They can do classes. So I've put your website and Cecily's website and mine underneath the video so people can find all of us if they would like to. And I'm just excited to meet you, to hear your story. I'm hoping maybe maybe when we get a little further into the show, maybe you could do a little download for us, for our audience. That would be beautiful.
That would be fine. That's what I do. And the class that Cecily just took was my first teaching the hypnosis class. Normally I teach self-empowerment, where we connect with guides, we activate different frequencies, we release wounding from the past. But I've just started actually teaching authentic self-hypnosis so that people can do it with their people. So it spreads out. Because it is life-changing. That's what people say.
I think we're living in a time right now when people are desperate for tools. So much fear has been in the news and all of these things going on. And I always feel like our fear of death is sort of at the foundation of everything. Like, what if I get this or that, and what if I die? It's kind of like we have an intrinsic fear that's built into our culture, and the news media has fed off nourishing fear so that people stay willing to be controlled a little bit. And this is really about accessing our freedom. It's accessing the truth of our being. It's, as you said, the ability to change our reality. And what we have to do is change inside ourselves. So it is offloading our own old data that might be getting in the way, whatever fears we have, remembering who we really are, connecting with guides, teachers, whatever higher dimensional existence we have the ability to connect with, and then being able to live in new ways where we really are feeling whole and we can resonate that new vibration to our family, to our friends, to everything that we're doing.
Can I just say that when anything happens big like COVID or whatever happens, because I know without any doubt that every single thing that happens on this planet is part of the process that is bringing us all home.
Beautiful.
So our
Could you say that
souls,
one more time?
Yeah, every single thing that is happening on this planet is part of the process that is bringing us all home.
Beautiful.
So on an individual level, our own soul creates these obstacles for us to learn, for us to grow, for us to release stuff that we're carrying. Nothing is random. Everybody is in your life because you need them to be there, because they are teaching you something.
Yes.
Well, the same is true of the collective, that humanity brings in these lessons. Now, as soon as COVID started getting serious, I just asked, what's this about? And the answer was that we really needed literally to have our world stopped, because we're rushing headlong over a cliff. We're killing the earth, we're killing the planet that we live and breathe from. And if we don't do some drastic changes, there will not be a viable earth for our grandchildren to inherit. So the message was that all of us had literally been stopped so we could go within. We had all of our distractions, our entertainments, the busyness that distracts us from looking inside. All of that was stopped so we could re-evaluate what's really important.
Absolutely.
It's not the
Yes.
stuff, it's not the things, it's not the bank account.
Yes.
It's the people, it's our animals, it's our plants.
Yes.
So one thing I do as part of the authentic self-hypnosis is when we bring the soul into the body and then say, how would you like to show up in my life? And we look into the future to see how that soul is being expressed. And when we look, we go into the healed earth, the ascended earth, and it's all about community. It's about people helping each other, growing food together.
Beautiful.
And when I ask them what started that process, COVID.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
So it's actually
I
a
love
blessing. It's not a curse. It's not
Yes.
been, it doesn't matter how it was created. That's
Right.
a distraction.
Yes.
The question is, why do we need this?
Gorgeous.
And how do we use it to make things better?
Yes. So it's really an activation of us looking within, of us choosing more meaningful purposes for our lives. And that is changing the course of human history.
And we'll keep getting it. It's going to keep coming back until we get the message. So when we got the new variant, that told me, oh, people didn't get it the first time. So let's see, we better do it again. And we'll do it again, or we'll do something else until we really wake up and start putting, well, in fact, we have with the, in America especially, there's been a much more awareness now of the effect that we're having on the environment.
Beautiful. Very good. So, Cec, how are you seeing these kind of things in your work? Do you have any resonance that goes along with what Charmaine is telling us?
Oh, absolutely. We get the same information. I mean, it's the truth is the truth, right? So people are pretty much saying all the same thing.
Yeah.
You know? And I get the same. And I did have a question. Oh, go ahead. I had another kind of question.
Yeah, no, if you have another question, go ahead. And just that you're doing sessions, so if you have anything to input that it kind of goes along with what she's saying, please share. But go ahead with your question, too.
Well, there's two things. One thing I really love with her sessions, and then the sessions she taught me to give, and that she gives, and also the weekly classes, is we always look at the earth and see what's going on. So there's always this awareness from this bird's eye view of what's happening globally and how we can help, or sometimes we send light, or we surround her, people, whatever is needed.
Very
And
nice.
It's been interesting to watch. Like a few weeks ago, I just saw there was so much resistance to the change, but now I had a session 2 days ago and I could see that resistance come down. And then this other thing it kind of was shown to me like graphs, and the color was like pinkish purple, which represented love, right? And unity. And so the unity was actually getting to be more than the resistance, because there's been a lot of resistance thrown at us and ourselves, our own resistance, and it's coming down, and this love is coming up and unity. So that's good. because then we don't need as many variants as it seems like there are out there. You know, yeah. Then I had another quick question. This is back to COVID. Is that okay if I bring it back to COVID?
Sure. Whatever you're being led, go for it.
Well, why are so many people, do you know, Charmian, why so many people are leaving right now?
Yes,
that's a good question.
Well, because they want to get there faster. We're all going to the same place. What I see the ascension is all of the higher frequencies coming down here and meeting. And so we'll still be in bodies, but they will be radiant light bodies, not dull kind of plodding, dense bodies. They'll be filled with light. We'll be living our radiant essence. And all of the other planes will become visible to us because we'll be in the 5th dimension. So at the moment, only people with psychic gifts can see spirits from the other side. But when we go through the ascension, everybody will be there. So some people have just gone before in order to help us. They're going to hold the gate and they're going to help us to go through. And they decided it's way more fun doing it from up there. Because the next few years, the next 5 years, I've been told, is going to be pretty turbulent. There's still a lot of chaos. There's a lot of conflict until we decide we want to change the game. We don't want to play this one anymore.
Beautiful.
So, and this is why it is so important now. And this is why I like to talk and come on the shows, is it's vital for the light workers